I'm welcoming Gayatri Rao, who is the Chief Development Officer for the LV programs in Rocket. And Gayatri is going to pay tribute to Vicki Modell, who is co-founder of the Jeffrey Modell Foundation for the primary immunodeficiency rare diseases. So Gayatri, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Can everyone hear me? Good. Good morning. It's such a pleasure to be here today and to talk with all of you. I really want to thank this past panelist group of folks sharing their story with us. It was really quite moving. So thank you very much. And it really highlights for me, and I think it dovetails really nicely into my portion about the impact of a patient's story and the ability of a patient advocacy foundation to make an outsized impact. And with that, I wanted to honor and remember Vicki Modell, who Erica mentioned was the co-founder of the Jeffrey Modell Foundation. This title of co-founder of the Jeffrey Modell Foundation does not begin to capture who she really was and the impact that she had on the community writ large. Vicki gave birth to her son, Jeffrey, and months after his birth, they noticed that he was getting sick repeatedly. And after a diagnostic odyssey, they learned that he had a very rare primary immunodeficiency. And over the course of Jeffrey's life, after hospital visit after hospital visit, Jeffrey looked at his parents and would ask them, like, why can't you do something? Do something. As parents always do, they've tried their best to do something for Jeffrey, but unfortunately he passed away at the age of 15. They took his entreaty to do something to heart, and they started the Jeffrey Modell Foundation in his honor. What they've managed to accomplish through this foundation is nothing short of amazing. They've raised awareness for primary immunodeficiencies worldwide. They created a global clinical network consisting of expert physicians, researchers, scientists, and one of their big achievements was to really advocate for newborn screening. I read this in her obituary, where getting newborn screening, for those of you who know anything about newborn screening, it's really hard. It's a state-by-state process. And they were one of the first to get newborn screening. So anytime you want to get a new disease approved for newborn screening, like I said, it's a state-by-state process. And they were one of the first organizations to get a primary immunodeficiency SCID as part of the newborn screening. And I didn't know this, I read this just recently, that the very first baby who was diagnosed with SCID through their newborn screening effort underwent a successful transplant shortly after birth, and he underwent that transplant on Jeffrey's birthday. So for Vicki, it really came full circle. When I started at Rocket, and we were working on starting our LAD-1 clinical trial, which is a primary immunodeficiency, we knew early on that we wanted to incorporate the patient perspective, and we knew that we needed to partner with patients throughout the treatment journey, as Kinnery had mentioned early on. And I remember visiting the Jeffrey Modell Foundation with Jonathan in New York. And we were prepared with what we wanted to share with them and think about how we wanted to partner with them. And I have to tell you, to this day, I remember that meeting, and I remember meeting Vicki, and she was the heart and soul of that organization. And within minutes of talking to her, her first immediate response was, what do you need? How can we help? Tell us what you need. Because she was just so jazzed that we were developing a gene therapy that would be a cure for a primary immunodeficiency. And through that partnership, they advocated with FDA with us. They promoted awareness of LAD-1 diagnosis on their website. As soon as her trial was open, she said, send me the letter. They blasted it throughout their clinical trial network to help us identify patients. And as folks know who worked on this trial, it was really hard to recruit patients. So one of my fondest memories of Vicki is going to a CIS meeting, and I saw her during one of the breaks, and she asked me how the trial was going. And I said, listen, we're having a really hard time identifying patients and bringing patients over. And I can tell you that that was probably the most productive 15 minutes I've ever had. All I had to do was stand next to this woman during a coffee break, and she just called everybody over. She was like, here is this physician from Iran you need to talk to. Here is this physician from Saudi Arabia. And within minutes, I had talked to a number of physicians, all of whom said, yes, we have patients, and we're going to talk to you, and we're going to see what we can do. It was phenomenal. So I've stayed in touch with Vicki over the years, giving her updates on how we were doing in the trial. And I was really very much looking forward to telling her if and when the gene therapy for LAD-1 gets approved. Unfortunately, we will not have the chance to do that. But in her honor, we will certainly be thinking about her on that day. In 2021, they created a documentary really capturing the Jeffrey Modell Foundation and their story. And with that, I'd like to share that with the group here.
I was 27. I was completely smitten.
I said, I'm going to marry that guy. I am so in love with him. When I found out I was pregnant, I was so excited.
That was phenomenal. I said, I got a son.
He was absolutely perfect.
Jeff, say a few words.
I love you.
Until everything started to go wrong. They said, we're not sure what it is, but his immune system is flawed. It was like a time bomb.
Primary immune deficiency is when the body's immune defenses are inherently broken.
At the time, we knew very little about immunology.
He said, I just wish I had leukemia. At least I would know what they could do for me.
I said, is this the only kid who's got this? I want an answer. And they said, you've got to go to the U.S. Senate and tell this story.
I said, I would like to talk about the other immune deficiency.
And one of the government people said, this is a rare disease. I said, how many dead babies shall I bring to you? 1, 2, 5, 10? Tell me how many. When I hit the number, you'll pay attention to me. And then we started to hear from other families.
He had to be in the hospital for 1,000 days from birth.
The only thing worth living for had just been ripped out of my arms.
Oh my God, do we have another epidemic?
Jeffrey would say to us, Mom, Dad, please do something. I said, I know you think it looks really bad and you're scared, but it's going to be okay. And that was the last conversation we ever had. We had lost everything.
I said, this is a tough one, but we got to keep going.
You hear a lot of stories where it pulls people apart. Those two became 10 times closer.
We said, maybe we can save the next Jeffrey.
They are relentless and fearless.
That we have saved at least one life gives us great satisfaction.
We see babies cured, centers all over the world.
But are we doing everything we can?
What would Jeffrey say?
I think he's here, watching everything I do and telling us to do something and to do something more.
I love you.
Thank you so much, Gayatri. We are going to miss Vicki so much, but I feel like we have her presence every time we make inroads with our LED program. I know she's watching down on each and every child. With that, we're gonna actually conclude the live stream portion of the morning part of the show, and we're gonna take a break for lunch.